This is the Weaver House Hotel. It was built in 1881. It was on the main street of Sedalia, across from the train station. John Craig bought some land at the confluence of the East and West Plum Creek in 1859. Settlers began to come, and they soon called it Round Corral. Craig sold it to Jonathan House in 1869, and it became known as Plum. The Denver and Rio Grande Railroad came through in 1871, and it was called Plum Station. But as early as 1872, post office records show that it was called Sedalia. Sedalia began to boom, and the main street along the railroad tracks became Plum Avenue, where the bars, the restaurants, the hotels, and merchandise stores were beginning to show up. Along with it, horses, buggies, carriages. Erastus Weaver, in the late 1870s, maintained a stable there to service these animals. In 1878, he applied for land for a homestead, and in 1880, bought 3 lots along Plum Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare. It was not only the main thoroughfare of the town, but it was the main highway north to Littleton and Denver and south to Castle Rock.
Mr. E. Weaver attends closely to the hotel business and is still working on his new building, which is not finished yet.
Erastus Weaver started his hotel in 1881 and completed it by 1882 and was doing a thriving business.
E. Weaver, dealer in staple and fancy groceries and provisions, oysters, fresh fish, fresh beef and salt meats of all kinds, also flour, feed, hay, grain, etc. Sedalia, Colorado.
In back of this building was added a kitchen area for the hotel, and the stairs inside are on the north side, and there were winding stairways up to the second floor hotel rooms. Now, this shows a gingerbread along the front of the building there. Down the street is the corral next to the building and a large barn and stable. In later years, it was a storefront with a false front and wings on each side. The block went on until what is now Manhart Street, and across that street there was the Manhart store. Newspaper articles show that Sedalia is thriving in that time. In 1884, the lots and hotel were turned over to his wife, Elizabeth. In 1886, he's deeded his ranch land to Elizabeth. In 1892, Elizabeth sells the ranch to a J.E. Bates. The 1900 census shows that Elizabeth remarried to James Cochran, and there are no more records of Erastus Weaver. In 1905, Elizabeth deeds the property to her husband, James Cochran, and later on in the same year, he sells it to James Woodhouse. From 1905 to the present time, it has had many owners. In 1984, Johnson and Sons bought it, and they were developers. They still own it. It has changed from hotel rooms to living quarters to office space. This history is incomplete, and we're hoping to collect more information. I think the people that settled the present Sedalia, I think their lives are even more interesting than the buildings that they have left behind them. The schools, for instance, and the fire departments were all volunteer. They were done by volunteer labor, and it was all their own effort that kept us together. Sedalia might have had a lot of saloons, but also had fraternal organizations and places to hold dances and community meetings. And the community was the main thing, and they held together. Many of the names that you go through, their descendants are still living in the same areas today. The basic families of Sedalia and the Jar Canyon area are still there.